You're listening to Mudville Sounds.
Hello?
So this is Mudville Sounds.
Awesome.
So you've been in the scene for a really long time here in Stockton.
30-something years.
For like 30-something years.
Yeah.
So what was your very first band?
My first band was the Shambles.
That was your first?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, technically there was one that never played. Oh, we did play a live show in my backyard. And I'm thinking it's like 94 or 95. Maybe the summer of 95, something like that.
Okay.
And that was called Running on 3.
I remember being in the scene, like I wasn't playing back then, but I was one of the kids that was like 14, 15, wandering around the shows.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a lot of the Shambles shows.
Oh, yeah.
You guys were really, really big at that point in time.
Regionally, yeah. We got pretty well known. I mean, we were on the radio in Modesto. And then we were played a lot of Modesto shows for when they used to have a rock channel down there, 96.7, I think, The Rock.
Okay.
But we played like the Cattle Club and shit like that. I don't know if it was called the Cattle Club anymore when we played it. I think it was. Yeah, and then I was just thinking if we got any radio play over there. Because back then radio play was still like huge. Like if you got on the radio, that was like a big deal. Not like how it is now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, because I don't even think anybody gives a shit if you're on the radio now. It's whether you're trending on TikTok or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think what people listen to, like how people listen to music and expose themselves are completely different these days. Back in the 90s, it was like everybody listened to the radio.
Yeah.
That's how you were exposed to music. And now
New
it's
music,
all YouTube and streaming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and how people get their music out there is a lot easier, it seems, these days, too.
SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah, everybody can, pretty much everybody can go online and figure out how to get their stuff on streaming somehow. Yeah. Whereas back in the day, you had to have those connections. You really had to work hard at, recording and getting decent
Or if
sound.
you had hella money, you could buy off a station, I guess. That happened back then in the 90s.
That's true. That's
Limp
true.
Bizkit, remember?
So, when you were playing back in the day, in like the 90s, what do you think your favorite venue was? Do you remember?
Oh, well, we're sitting in front of one of my favorites. For sure, I like the Blackwater because it was more intimate than anywhere else. You were right in the crowd, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm a crowd pleaser, so it's like, it was cool to be like right in the crowd, so... This I would say, would be in the top of maybe like 2 or 3. I mean, of course, the one on West Lane there and Alpine.
Legion Hall.
The Legion Hall.
Yeah.
I mean, we played a bazillion shows there. And
that was a big place back then.
Yeah, and it was happening, especially when Ming Ching and his sister May took it over, and when Ming was our manager for the Shambles for I want to say like a year or so. And then, there's some crazy stories with me and me.
I'm sure there is.
We played a lot of shows together, and there's crazy stories with just me and the Shambles. There's nudity involved. There's choking with dreadlocks, nudity, and
oh my gosh,
a lot of
adult themes.
Yes, and all of them were kind of around Ming and like men and nothing against homosexuality, but something was going on back then. I don't know exactly what it was because he tried to kiss me. I remember that.
Oh gosh,
but I like giving him shit too. I'm talking a little bit of shit, but he's awesome. I still talk to him probably monthly.
Okay, cool.
I haven't seen May though in forever. The last time she had sent me a bunch of Cheese CDs and all his like spoken word stuff. I want to say she sent me a book too, but I don't remember if it was just CDs. I think it might have been just CDs of his spoken word. And a lot of his spoken word he did. The one they recorded was here in Stockton at remember when they had that hookah bar that used to be Slacker City back in the day?
There's been a couple hookah bars that I can think of.
It was on the Mile, but it was like 2 stories inside, like it had an upper level.
That was the old Caffeine Den.
Yes.
The old Caffeine Den.
I played there before, too, and actually I did a clothing company in the 90s called Slacker Period, and then that's where Homeboy got the name to name it Slacker City.
Oh, wow.
Because he was a good friend of mine, Randy Reed, at the time, and then that's why they called it that.
Huh.
And then we had some skate demos that were pretty infamous, with some, like, basically skate crew wars, or whatever you want to call it. Like Juice Crew against the Slacker Crew, it was nuts. Oh, wow. We prevailed, even though we ended up friends with the Juice Crew. Good friends still to this day.
Nice.
There was no prevailing. There was just one fight that was hella funny. And somebody left with a big-ass footprint on the side of their face.
Oh, no.
Like on Bruce Lee movie. But it was, 90s was trippy, and the venues were super fun, and I would say and then the Weber Point shows were huge, because the Weber Point shows, the Shambles and Juice Crew and the Slacker City, all those people became good, strong network of friends, and ended up where they, along with the BMX people, even right here, Jeff Rogers, he was part of that, the BMX people, and Jeff Rogers filmed all the early Shambles stuff.
Oh, okay.
Not early, but like mid-Shambles stuff. He filmed like the Weber Point shows, and he filmed what it took to get the skate park built.
Okay.
So he was intricate in that too. So everybody got along at that time. You know, there was egos and stuff because we were in our 20s, but or early 30s.
Yeah.
And then the skate park got built, though, because all of us worked hard together to get enough money up to get it built. But those shows, there was like 3,000 kids at those shows. It was ape shit.
The ones over at that skate park?
At the Weber Point.
Oh, at the Weber Point.
You don't remember the Weber Point shows? Those were huge. And then the Civic Auditorium, us and Doja Click, we sold out the Civic Auditorium twice.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's like on local band level, that was huge.
Yeah.
Even Channel 13 News came out there like, what the hell are these locals doing? Because the cops shut down one show, the first one, which was whack because we had it even more packed on the first one, of course, and then we had to re-up like the next weekend and like get everybody back in there. But everybody came pretty much. The tickets were honored. I think that's how it went. But I don't remember why they shut it down. Gang violence or some bullshit. Or moshing. They dug up a law, the Stockton police or whoever dug up a law from 1945 of no dancing. Like an anti-dancing law. Which they used against African Americans from congregating or anybody of color from congregating and dancing.
Wow, so they dug up this law from the 40s, you said?
Yeah, 1945
they dug up an anti-dancing law from the 40s to shut down your show.
I think it was racially motivated. The racist part, I'm saying the old law had to be racist. I don't know for sure.
A lot of those laws were put in place because of race.
They weren't going to make white people stop dancing.
It's funny that, you know, they dug out this law from the 40s, a 50-year-old law to shut down a hardcore show at the Civic. Like
hardcore rap and hardcore. They were scared of gang violence too. And I remember playing a Battle of the Bands there too that we won. Then everybody said it was fixed because Mike Klooster was one of the judges.
Oh gosh!
And he had produced one of our albums, and it was like I knew it wasn't fixed because as soon as we broke into the first song, Lotus Factor 2 pits opened wide up in front of me. So I was like, well, on the time that we lost to Simon Says. They had a good crowd. They were here in Stockton. They were from SAC. They were scared shitless when it was starting because our crowd was so fucking violent at that time.
Yeah.
But that's why we got kicked out of the shows because our crowd was too violent. But technically, I say we won, but they won.
Yeah.
And then in the other two that we were in, we placed it third and first. So every time we were in a Battle of Bands, we at least charted. You know what I mean? And I don't mean like charted my pants. I mean we were 1, 2, or 3. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But it's always best to be one. But.
Yeah. So how do you feel about like competition shows like that?
They're whack. I would say they're whack. I mean, I wouldn't play one now. I mean, but I'm 52, so I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't play one now. We actually were offered one before, and I was like, I don't play no fucking Battle of Bands. I ain't got nothing to prove at this point, or like I'm not in competition with nobody.
Yeah.
So it's like they're whack. They're whack. That whole America's Most Talent and all that stupid shit. That's whack as fuck. That's supposed to tell us who's talented and who ain't.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of a popularity contest for sure. Is what I find. A lot of that.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Like some of the biggest differences are in the scene between '90s when you were playing back then and now?
Huh? I know that about 3 or 4 years after we were done, there seemed to be a vacuum and nothing was filling it. And then I never really seen nobody that did anything like we did at the time in the 90s. But now there's a bunch of bands and young bands, so that's kind of cool. There's hope for the scene. Cousin Got's a venue that's coming up on Weber Avenue.
On Weber.
Weber and before the tracks right there. You know where those four-way stops are? It's right next to his car lot. But he's got a venue. It's called 209 Hot Box.
209 Hot Box on Weber Avenue.
So children's, get a hold of my cousin. His name is Lance. He's a good dude. Lance McCain. Or McCann. I'm sorry, McCann. You can rent it, and it's got everything you need except for a PA. It doesn't have a PA, so you got to bring your own shit. But yeah, if there was
that's great though.
Hopefully he can keep going, and maybe at one point he'll have his own PA system and sound guy.
Yeah,
that's always the best because then it makes it easier for the bands to actually rock.
Yeah.
But as far as rock, there's bands around here. I just don't know them all, but I know I've heard a couple demos that were fucking good. I want to say that band was named Heat, but it might not be. Sorry if I'm doing a disjustice. I can't even say the word disjustice. How do you say it?
Injustice?
I'm not saying the band's name right. Or maybe I am, or maybe that's the name of the EP. I can't remember. It was good, and they did a badass Nirvana cover. I remember that was cool. But I know there's younger bands. I just don't know them all. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's because I'm older. It's just there's no scene how there used to be.
Yeah, I know the Hatch is doing a lot to bring it back.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's only one venue compared to when we were doing it back in the
two
day.
Or three. But I think it was easier to get something going back then. And I think it was easier, or back then it was easier to get something going. And like you could break more rules and like break more laws and like have something happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it seems like everything's like super, I don't know, constricted, or like you can't throw a show nowhere, or everybody's scared to have one, or scared of alcohol, scared of kids, scared of fucking drugs and all that shit. Which I guess you should be, but you can't have a rock and roll show if you're going to do that.
Yeah.
Or be that scared, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly why everything's the way it is, but the internet, on everything I've done now, I wish I had that shit 25 years ago, because I could have packed the shows even more solid, you know what I mean? But word of mouth back then and flyers and the old school way worked.
Yeah, it did.
And we had plenty of kids almost every single time we played. Even when we were older, the Shambles went on way too long. It should have only been a band for 5 years at the max. I say 3.
Yeah.
But it went on like 14 fucking years. And only probably because I was addicted to playing shows. So I liked the crowd and I liked it playing shows. I mean, I'm still playing music in front of people, so. And I'm good at it, so that's why. You know what I mean? So I love it, and it's fun. But, yeah, it's that scene. I don't know if there's a scene anymore.
I want to believe and hope that we're going to continue going down this path. Like I said, I mean, we have the Hatch that's doing a lot of stuff almost every weekend. So you can pretty much every weekend find something going on over at the Hatch. And then with these other little venues, like you were saying, your cousin's place and
Lance McCann, 209 Heat.
Yeah, and then there's
Hot Box, 209 Hot Box.
There's a couple other little places like that are renting out spaces for shows. So hopefully we can kind of keep bringing people back instead of having them go out. And Yosemite Street Music.
Yeah, they're going to start throwing more shows. And supposedly here at Terra also, which used to be the old Blackwater, you know that, they're supposed to be starting to do shows here too.
Yeah. So you were saying that you have a show coming up with Broke Note Undertone at Yosemite Street Music?
Yes. Yep. And there's another band, my buddy Kyle, I think it's called No Signal, but he might have changed the name of that band, but they're supposed to play with us too.
And that is when?
That's October 21st.
October 21st, Yosemite Street Music. Awesome.
Yeah, it'll start at like 5 p.m.
I'm definitely going to try to make it to that one.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I like Broke Note Undertone a lot.
Yeah, they're good. I'm actually going to go jam with them next weekend, just me and them, I guess, or just me and Seven Croutons, or what the fuck is his name?
7, yeah.
I'll go over there prepared, and he's prepared, so... Or he's loose. I like how he's loose, because I'm loose, too. But I'll have, like, lyrics. I can freestyle to anything, so...
Nice.
Yeah. So it should be pretty interesting what we come up with, because I like that energy. And then Ralph, his drummer, I can't remember Ralph's last name, but... Can't remember if we played hella shows together back in the late 90s. Ralph, his drummer. He's hella cool. Yeah. I can't think of his last name.
Rock and roll. So are you guys gonna maybe collaborate during a show or record some stuff?
I don't know. It depends on what we come up with this coming Friday here.
Okay.
So there could be some collaboration as far as that live. Kyle, I did a song with his band, No Signal, but I don't know if that's what they're called now. But I did a song with them a couple years back that was cool. But I don't know if we're doing that unless I get a hold of them before the show. You know what I mean?
Okay, I gotcha. So
there might be a couple songs I do with other people that night. And then Brumby Road set, of course.
For sure. So Brumby Road is your most recent...
Yeah.
Your most recent band that you got going on. Yep. So let's talk a little bit about Brumby Road.
Yeah.
When did you guys get together and start that whole thing?
I want to say it was pre-COVID, like the summer, or maybe it was the year before COVID, like 2019 or 18, something like that. I was doing this one thing remotely over the internet that was with a band. 2 dudes were here, me and my bass player in Brumby Road, Vince Castillo, I always say his name wrong. Doing this thing with Brad Souza, which was old Shambles drummer and a good old friend of ours. But he was living in Reading, and the bass player was living in Reading, and then me and Vince were here. But Vince plays bass in my band now. But I can't remember if he was playing acoustic guitar back then or how that... No, because then we had Lorenzo, lives down here in the valley, and it was a band called Aquanana.
Okay.
Yeah, we did some videos and some
that.
songs. We never played live, though, because part of the group lived in Reading.
Okay.
So, eventually, I want to say it was right before COVID, we had recorded some stuff with them, and then me and Vince were like, oh, let's do an acoustic band that we could play like in coffee shops and stuff and not scare away all the women. And I was like, all right, let's do that. That sounds cool. And then the songs were coming out really good. We used some stuff that was in Aquanana, but we redid it like Brumby Road style. So it basically was an acoustic sound at first, but now it's all the way amplified, so it's all the way rock guitars and everything, so it's not acoustic anymore, but that's how it started out. And that was around, it had to be around 2018, something like that, 2019, because 2020 was when it hit, right, the whole COVID thing.
When everything shut down.
And then we kept going, and we're still going till now, so it might have been 2019, 2018, 2019, something like that.
I'm trying to remember, because we played a show together. We played a show over
Brumby
at
Road.
Tease's, over at Tease's shirt factory.
Yeah, on Plaza. The Plaza, in Art in the Plaza, on Pershing there. Right?
Yeah. And that was several years ago, wasn't
that
it?
was fun.
was like maybe 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah. I remember Snap Jackson took hella pictures.
Yeah, he took some... Gosh, he's such a great photographer.
Yeah, he's awesome talent. And a good musician, too.
Oh, yeah.
And a good friend of mine.
Yeah, he's...
Oh, you were over there that day. Yeah?
Yeah, no, he's good people for sure.
I was going to say I drank a lot of whiskey with that dude, but then I was thinking, who haven't I drank a lot of whiskey with? But what was I saying?
So what? Because you guys have you released an album with Brumby Road?
Of them.
Two of them.
EPs. 2 EPs. So the first EP was called Picasso is Blue, and the second EP was called Neon Black.
Okay.
So they're both color themed in a way.
And are we able to download those off of iTunes or something?
Apple Music. Is iTunes part of Apple Music?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And then it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on... I can't think of what else. We pay one platform, we pay one company to put them on a bunch of platforms.
Okay, you know what I mean? So most streaming platforms you can probably find y'all.
It won't be hard to find us at all. BRUMBYROAD. It'll come right up Neon Black, or it'll come up Picasso is Blue.
Yeah. I was actually just listening to the song Neon Black this morning. Killer tune. I really enjoyed it. It kind of... It might sound funny, but it actually gave me some Oingo Boingo vibes.
Tight. That's a trip.
Yeah.
We get that or the Cramps on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
A little bit of the Cramps. We get, no matter what, with all that Brumby Road sound, we get like late 80s or early 80s, like goth.
Yes, very much so.
A lot. But I don't know if I was ever truly like a goth. I was a goth fan.
Yeah.
I did wear a lot of black. I don't know. I mean, I loved it all that. The Bauhaus, Susie and the Banshees, Sisters of Mercy, and what's the fire? Smoke, she is of the cold. So I liked that, and I liked it, because that, when we were younger, that was skate music before it was
sure.
You know what I mean? Carrots. That's speaking of that, R.I.P. to God damn it, the Plant Man, Gary Young, passed away like last week.
Yeah.
He recorded a Shamble album that never got released. The secret hidden Shamble album.
Oh wow.
Even though we recorded hundreds of songs, we only had one fucking album to our name, and it was the wackest one because we didn't know nothing about what we were doing then.
Yeah.
So it was hella whack. There's some gems on it, though, some cool shit. Most of them make you cringe the whole way through. Especially what I know now and how my voice has come along.
Yeah.
And it's a trip because they figure when you're older, washed up rocker, your voice is all done. Mine got better over time. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed that on the recordings, but those are basically live takes.
Oh,
and
wow.
Then with overlays. I mean, there's delay and reverb on there, but that's... Even when you play a show, you can put delay and reverb on your shit. Either you got a voice or you don't, and I got one.
Yeah. No, you sound good. You
and
sound
it's
good
unique
on those.
sound, and it don't sound like... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got my own sound. I
Love
always
it.
tripped on female vocals, so I was Sinead O'Connor and... Annie Lennox.
Thank you, yeah.
Well, maybe Irish women. I don't know. And I still like I listen to Wednesday, and it's a female-fronted band. It's a newer rock band.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Wednesday's hella sick. I always, envied the way women singers sing. And the notes they can hit and stuff is cool. And then, so I always knew I could hit a little bit of it. I can't hit super highs, but I can hit enough high. And I always wanted to incorporate that into my rock and roll. But so the highs, that was important to us to have that mix in there and to sound, I wouldn't say feminine, but there's nothing wrong with sounding feminine and have a different approach to what we were used to.
I don't think it sounds feminine at all. I definitely think it adds a different dimension to the sound and the music that you're doing. But I wouldn't really say feminine.
Well, I'm trying to sing like a girl,
but it sounds good.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
It sounds good. I really enjoyed that song a lot. The other one too. What was the other? Running was the other one you sent me, and I really dug that one too. Yeah. They have a really cool sound to it.
Hypnotic to me. Running.
Yeah, it had a little bit more of a melodic kind of feel.
Yeah. But, and it's got a deeper meaning too. Well, all of them got meanings, but I kind of got away from when I was younger, just writing about myself. Writing about whatever I thought about. You know what I mean? Even if it wasn't me. Because I can pull emotion out of anything.
The universe is full of humans, and Jesus Christ was a cosmonaut. If you hold a gun backwards, you might get shot. If you hold a gun backwards, you might get popped. Walking on the sun is always hot. Yeah, walking on the sun is always hot. Jesus Christ was a cosmonaut. Yeah, Jesus Christ was a cosmonaut. Human, you're in trouble. The star child has come to burst your bubble. Human, you're in need of a soul bleed. Retaliation, are you Italian or are you Haitian? Just another one of God's creations. Just another one of God's creations. Evisceration, retaliation. Are you Italian or are you Haitian? Just another one of God's creations. Yeah, just another one of God's creations. Human, you're in trouble. The star child has come to burst your bubble. Human, you're in need of a soul bleed. Soul bleed, oh yeah. Soul bleed, oh yeah. Tired of being human, tired of being. Yeah, human, you're in trouble. The star child has come to burst your bubble. Human, you're in need of a soul bleed. Soul bleed, oh yeah. So
what do you think inspires you now?
It's all kinds of shit, like all day long. I mean, painting inspires me the most. I'd say I'm more of a painter than a rocker, but they're both right there.
Yeah.
They both fight for my attention. They go hand in hand, too, because all the covers of the EP and the stuff you see online, that's my artwork. So with Brumby Road, there's not an official film yet. There's some live films on there. I think there's like 2 live films. There's like a whole set in Modesto, and then there was like that song Running in Lodi. And then eventually we'll have a film, and then like a official video or whatever you want. Everything's singles now, you know what I mean? So
when you write a new song, let's say, what commonly will inspire you to write a new song?
Work and like boredom and tedium at work usually inspires stuff, and I'll just go off to the bathroom or something and write down lyrics real quick that I'm thinking of. Like I'll think of a line, you know what I mean, and I'll start going off that line until I got like a big old thing of lyrics and translate them to whatever the fellows have, or if I have a riff in my head, I'll tell them, oh, it sounds like this in my head, and I'll just like sing a melody, you know what I mean? So then it comes out that way. So most of your songs, would you say that they're kind of a collaborative effort between you and the other guys in the group? Oh, for sure.
So there's not like one single songwriter. It's
no,
kind
it's
of all of
us.
Nice.
All of us, for sure. The drummers got input, the bass player, the guitar player, and myself, all 4 of us got input, for sure.
That's what's up, yeah.
For sure. And lyrically, even if they want... Like, there's one of the songs we recorded was called Come Back to You. I think it's called Come Back to You. It's the one... But anyway, the guitarist wrote that years ago.
Okay.
But when I heard him playing it by himself, then I was like, oh, that's badass. So, yeah, let's do that. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, it's good. And it seems to be a crowd pleaser. It works every time.
Nice.
We've opened with it. I think it's called Here, Come Back to Me. I think it's called that, yeah. It had like a longer title before, I think. And then it's just, you know how like bands do that? Eventually the title becomes like one word or 2 words.
Yeah.
And it's like something easy to remember it by, like, Smack a Pony was the name of one of our songs, and now they just call it Punch a Pony or Punch a Horse, or they'll call it everything else but Smack a Pony. So, and it doesn't mean any violence against equine at all.
Right, yeah.
But it's
that's funny.
that song, yeah. I was working on a horse ranch, so I was singing about all my divorces. Yeah, when you're singing to horses about all your divorces, life changes courses, something like that. I forget what it was. That's how those lyrics came about, though. Was
very cool.
Singing to horses.
My gosh,
but horses just go.
Just nod their head.
This is audio, yeah. They just nod their head. I don't know if they're happy or they just want more feed, or like that was a good song.
So one of your other things that you have been doing for a long time and really excel at is your art. Mm-hmm. And like you said already, that you have used a lot of that for a lot of your album covers and promotional stuff, flyers and whatnot. You use a lot of your original art. For
years, the shirts, everything.
Yeah.
The shambles, like, everything was my artwork. And then now I extended into Brumby Road. There was never nothing for Aquanana. And then Brumby Road, yeah. So the covers, and then I'll do the newer album that we're working on. But we're doing a single in Sacramento. I think it's called Super Rainbow PCP.
Okay.
That's the name, was going to be the name of the next album, but I think that song we're going to actually do there, because we're getting a freebie from somebody, so we're going to take advantage of that.
Okay.
Plus, we've been trying to, like, do stuff locally, so we were going to, the last 2 EPs we recorded in Campbell, California, in the Bay Area.
All right.
Which was awesome people. I can't think of dude's name right now. But it's White Rabbit Studios. They're awesome people, good people. So if you want to record, they got their shit together. It's cool over there. Nice. And they can isolate you like they have It's like an old school studio, but they got the new technologies all. So you can isolate a singer, isolate a drummer, do whatever you want.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very
but
cool.
we wanted to start doing stuff closer to home, because that's yonder. And that's how the Sacramento thing came up. But we probably end up going somewhere here. There's really nowhere here to record other than that press club. and they're more, seems like, geared towards hip-hop. I mean, everybody is now because that took over because it's mainstream.
You're looking to record another album, or are you doing a single, or is this like a
this
music
album
video, or...
Well, whatever we get out of this, if it's good, I'm going to use it for a music video.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Because I got a good camera dude now. Miguel, what the hell's Miguel's last name? He did my film for when I did the solo art show at Catalyst.
Okay.
Last year in March. And
All
then he
right.
just did the commercial for the group art show.
Oh, okay.
No Squares group art show. So that commercial you've seen, he did that.
Yeah, and the No Squares art show is going to be over at Lavoti's
Lavoti's Pizza Pub.
on Yosemite here.
October 7th. Saturday, October 7th, 5 p.m. till 10. All ages free. Pizza, beer, and art.
Nice. Yeah,
It's gonna
I'm
be
excited
rad.
about that one, too.
Yeah,
We've
it's
got
gonna
a
be
lot of
super
good
cool.
artists
Yeah.
going to be in there with you.
Yeah.
That's great.
I don't know how you say Amanda's
Amada, Aaliyah.
Yeah, that longer name she has now.
She goes by Aaliyah something. I don't remember.
Well, I love her. I'm just
But
saying,
yeah.
she's going to be in it. Fernando, what's Fernando's last name? I can't think of his last name. It's on the flyer.
Yeah, it's on the flyer.
But the Fernando's going to be in it. I just know him by Fernando, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and B-Dank too, right?
B-Dank's
yeah.
going to be in it.
Yeah.
Myself, Ernest Mancuso, then we're missing somebody. Oh, Billy Urbani. He'll be in
Okay.
it as well.
Nice.
Badass sculptor.
And you're going to have some music going on down there too?
Yes, Mike Alsop from Damn fame. I don't know if you remember Damn, D-A-M, in the 90s.
No, I
They were
don't.
hella badass.
Okay.
Modesto band. And then I think what else? He's in a band now and they're hella good. I can't think of what the hell their name is. But Mike's an awesome dude. I
Nice.
seen him last time I played in Modesto. He was at the show.
Killer.
Yeah, it was
No,
cool.
that should be a good
Because I didn't
show.
know he was interested in anything I was doing, and then he was, and I was like, tight. I go, well, then you're playing my fucking art show coming up here. And eventually we'll play a show with his band. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Brumby Road. So, and then we already said about the 21st, right? Playing
Over at
the
Yosemite
music-
Street Music. Yeah,
And then the other show we have is in Lodi on basically a Halloween show. There's 12 bands. It's a festival. It's the Halloween Fest at Idle Brewery
Okay.
on October 28th.
Okay.
That'll be super fun, too. And that's actually a lot of local bands, and some of the people are from the 90s. So that'll be pretty interesting as far as...
Yeah.
It'll just be like a, oh, I remember you type show. You
Little
know what I mean?
reunion.
Yeah, like a reunion. But all the bands are kind of different and new, you know what? Or not new, but like they got with different people, you know what I mean? And than when you were younger. Like,
Right, yeah, so they're all pretty much just gotten in new bands, and
Yeah.
it's yeah.
everybody's got like 10 kids and working like 9 to 5 type shit and all that.
Yeah,
The
right?
domesticated life or whatever. Because I was wild, hooligan. But I'm not a soccer fan, so I guess I wasn't a hooligan. I was just out of my mind.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I think a lot of us went through that when we were younger.
Yeah, there was a ton of that for me and my friends.
Sure.
But some of them are on the street now, some are dead, and some are in prison.
Yeah.
And the rest just work like normal jobs like normal people.
Yeah.
But the rock, you can't take the rock out of us, so I got to keep rocking. I got something to say still, and I got that energy, and I got that, I have to play original music. I got to play, like, the shit that's in my head that I'm not hearing on the
Yes.
internet. To me, that's what real rock and roll is supposed to be, a bunch of things together.
Yeah.
And then you just throw it out your way. I mean,
Yeah.
the Shambles wasn't just New York hardcore. New York hardcore was a huge influence, but there was West Coast hardcore as well. That was a huge influence. And I think even more so with Brumby Road, there's a lot more 70s and 80s punk rock, American punk rock, and English punk rock
Sure.
vibe or like influence, you know what I mean? Or what, like revisiting albums that maybe I didn't pay attention to when I was in hardcore because I was only paying attention to hardcore.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially New York hardcore. I was always fascinated with New York.
I've heard
and hardcore.
from some other people that Stockton has a very distinct sound when it comes to the music that comes out of our area. Do you think that's accurate? Like Stockton has a kind of a distinct sound?
If Brumby Road is the sound of Stockton, then yes. But I don't think so.
No.
Some of the bands, and that one I was trying to remember and did them a disservice earlier, they didn't remind me of, like, I don't know, like, there was some bands, like, in the 90s that were trying to copy, like, Sack or trying to sound like Deftones. We used to call it Rage Against the Corn Tones.
Oh, gosh.
Everybody sounded like those bands, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they did, like, the Sacramento Stomp, and they did, like, and that just means the way they were dancing on stage, like, with their guitars and shit. This is the Corn Stomp, basically,
Okay.
or whatever. And Sack, like, picked up on that and loved it, that shit at the time. All them bands were doing that. Simon Says, everybody. I keep saying them, but there was other bands. Shorty, everybody was doing that fucking stomp. Papa Roach, I remember them playing around here. I remember all that shit. It was crazy. But at the same time, I don't remember, like, a distinctive sound. I mean, if anybody was the sound, it was the leader.
Yeah.
At that time, in the late 90s, was the Shambles.
Yeah.
So if anybody was that sound, it was us. But there was awesome bands, though. Like, the Uzis kicked ass, and we had a lot of fun with them, and they had a distinctive sound. So maybe, if anything, it was a sound of originality. I know that at that time, you couldn't like, sound like the Uzis or the Shambles, or you get your ass beat. Like, you had to sound original.
Yeah.
Like, all the bands, like, in the mid-90s sounded original. Because what we grew up on was, like, Suicidal didn't sound like X, and X didn't sound, you know what I mean? Like, everybody sounded distinctive and different.
Yeah.
There was a vibe that carried everybody together, but punk rock could be considered anything.
Sure.
As long as it was original. You know what I mean? Because, like, X, for example, they were a country band, basically.
Huh.
But they were considered a punk band, you know what I mean?
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So how do you think the scene is moving right now in terms of, like, what's next for, like, what your goal is with Brumby Road? Do you think?
So that scene, the older guy scene, the geezer scene?
Well, no, not
Yeah,
just
that's the
the
only
geezer
one I
scene.
know,
I mean,
but
you're
that's the
in-
only one I know.
It
So-
doesn't matter what your age is. You're
Yes,
still
I know
a musician
that.
in the
Yes,
area,
yes,
so
yes.
you're still a part of the scene with the 20-year-olds. So it doesn't really matter age. But in terms of, like, what your goals are and where you feel like you want to move to, do you think that this area kind of is accommodating for your
I think
goals and
Yosemite
pursuits?
Street is.
Okay.
Yosemite Street is awesome. The vibe keeps getting better and better, too, and the circumstances and situations here seem to get better and better. Like, I got my artwork up in here. I'm going to have it down there at Lavodi's. We're going to play over there across the street, so it's... I like Yosemite Street.
Street's hopping, yeah.
It's what's up. I mean,
Yeah.
there's probably some other places, like my cousin's, I said. But his is a matter of getting the right people booking it. But the scene down, or at least for us, in the near future, like I said, we're going to record that song in Sacramento, the Super Rainbow PCP, and then, so that song we're going to do in Sac for free, which is hella cool. And we got basically half of a full-length album. And like I said, it's all singles now, so...
Okay.
And I'm sure we're going to write other songs. I got tons of lyrics, but we were kind of in the writing mode. Like, it kind of goes in cycles. Like, we would write for an EP, make the EP, record it, and then we'd play some live shows. And then, but it keeps going that way, so it'll probably still keep going that way. But, I mean, we ain't trying to win no Grammy or nothing. We ain't.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all working and got kids and everything else, and we're just purely doing this for the fun and the stoke.
Sure.
And just to stoke each other. You know what I mean? How it used to be, and how I think that's lacking a lot of in American life and rock and roll. Is like, you're supposed to be stoking each other
Yeah.
in the band, and like firing each other up to get more out of it. You know what I mean? And get that good song that you want to hear that ain't out there yet.
Yeah.
But you know it's there, and you got to bring it out there and let people hear it. That's at least where I'm headed, and still headed. I mean, a lot of my focus is on painting now, so... And just painting. I can't stop painting. I can't stop creating, basically. But whether it's going somewhere, I don't know. It's just going to hell, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know if Brumby Road's got, like, goals other than playing good fucking badass punk rock. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's basically rock and roll, but it's punk rock to all of us. So it's, I mean, I've been punk rocking now for like I said, 30-something years plus. And then I've met and got a lot of good friends that are still good buds from that era. Like I said, Mike Klooster and Ming Ching. Those are good dudes and good buds, and I still talk to them on a regular basis. And Mike is still working with Smash Mouth and doing all his other side projects. And everybody's kids are getting bigger and into more stuff. And it'd be a trip if, like, Bink, you know, she tells me sometimes, like, Daddy, if you ever have to quit Brumby Road or don't want to play it or something happens, then I'll take over. And I was like, all right. Because she's been to enough practices where she knows, like, the song. She don't know all the lyrics yet or none of that, but she kind of does. She's looking at me right now, side-eye.
She knows you're talking about her. Yeah, that was
you going to take over the Brumby Road?
She already made one of the songs. That's awesome.
Human, yeah.
Yeah, that was her song. She wrote it, or what?
It was inspired off of her.
Nice.
And titled it for her because she was calling everybody humans. So I said, "Oh, human." So
nice.
It's inspired off of her. That song has I don't know if it has a deeper meaning or what. I mean, like all of them are like a metaphor or like a poem type of deal, but they're not so much like based on me anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are emotionally or something, like even in running. I guess every song has some part of my experience in it, but they're not necessarily. I was kind of singing, and I don't want to give away, because I used to hate when artists would like say what the song means, like when Davey Havoc would tell you what the song means, and I was like, I had a totally different fucking meaning in my head, and was totally fucking stoked on that, and you just ruined it with what it's really about. So I don't like saying exactly what, but I mean, like I said about my paintings, and I was doing the same thing. I was trying to elude people by saying I'm singing about like Christianity or singing about theology, which a lot of what I sing and paint about is about the things I trip on, like, but it's really, I'm tripping on like anthropology, a lot of apologies on this watch, anthropology, theology, ologies, I guess, anthropology, theology, ancient man, archaic man. A lot of that I trip on because those were like I mean, there had to be a time where archaic man did not believe in anything other than survival. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's constant even now, like we are trying to survive, but now you just got all this other convoluted shit that kills even more humans. I guess you have to have a way to regulate shit and get rid of some humans, so maybe religion is the way. But that inspires a lot of what I write about, the things that I study. And then just painting in pure artistic expression, like I used to like when a band would come along, like, remember, what was that Brothers band? They had that song, Fire, Fire, Fire. Oh, just when it's just like a loud expression of rock and roll that's totally art. Like, it don't mean nothing other than, like, sonic, like, brushstrokes. You know what I mean?
Sure. Like,
kabam, like, here you have it. Like, look at this. Like, if you're looking at a Jackson Pollock or a de Kooning, just an art, or Rothko, you know what I mean? Just an emotional experience as compared to it has to have meaning.
Sure.
Like, you just feel something. Either you feel sorrow or pain or anger or happiness or fulfilled or some type of shit. It doesn't have to be defined.
Yes. Very true.
Is what I'm going after still to this day. I think that's truly what art should be. But you can't always explain it because then it loses its mystery.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it loses that little thing that keeps it, like, fresh in, like, everybody's mind. Like, I don't know what that is, but it's cool. You know what I mean?
I think it allows everybody to kind of relate to it in their own way. Yep. Instead of being told how they need to feel, they can just feel.
Yes. So that's a lot of what I write about. So I'm always thinking about that kind of shit. Like, why is this like this? You know what I mean? Because of fear, usually.
Yeah.
Why are other races, like, condoned or put down that ain't yours? You know what I mean? It's because you fear it because you don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And once you get to know it, you go, oh, they're just as stupid as us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or just as funny as us, or just this and that. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's what I think about all the time. And then I think about my kids and the legacy I'm leaving for the girls. I just want the girls to be happy and well-adjusted and no badass music, no badass art, no badass fucking everything badass.
So basically. how do your kids dig on what you do? Like, do they think that you're just... Like, do they do the typical kid, I'm embarrassed of my dad trying to be cool kind of thing?
I think there was periods of time for the older ones. The 20-year-old has been to all... I think she might have missed one Brumby Road show. But she's been to all the rest, and she digs it. She's into it. She said at first she was just happy to see me do my thing and, like, what I'm into. And then I think she started to like it. And then the middle one always been partial. They're cool girls. I mean, they ain't going to tell their daddy he sucks to his face, at least. So, I mean, but I think for the most part, they like it and they dig it. The Bink, she's built in the way of the monster. So, I mean, she knows the best pins on the market. She knows the best paper or where to get the cheapest, best paper. Walmart. But
awesome.
She knows where to get the best paint, what type of brand. She knows she's tagged under a bridge already. All three of my daughters have tagged something. And with me is where they started. But
so they pretty much, all of them have a common consensus that the old man is kind of cool.
Like these things are cool that he showed us.
Nice.
That they could expand on them in their youth I told them you only get that period of time in your 20s where you think you're the coolest shit on the planet.
Yeah.
But eventually you'll be lame and old and dumb and stupid and not hip. But there's a way I don't know. To me, I don't think about it trying to be hip. It's just I'm constantly stimulated by things that I'm either from the past that I was stoked on, but I don't dwell on the past being stoked on that. I'm constantly searching out new things. The human mind has to have new stimuli all the time. It wants it. In American society, we get it too much. I'm constantly like searching for a new stoke. Not just that, or like the things that constantly stoke me, like keep me inspired and keep me going. And there's always something brand new, always something brilliant, and always something awesome kid coming up with something rad that I didn't know about, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, fuck yeah.
It's all about exposure.
Yes, and then the kids, what I like is when they think deeper, like about archaic humans and like geology or archaeology or like, you know what I mean? Like the things that really stoke me. Because like, just the whole, in religion, theology stokes me, but not theology as studying the dogma to believe in it. Analyzing what dogma is and what it does to society. So anthropology, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the quickest way to figure out any people is by their food and by their religion.
Very true. Yeah.
And they usually go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So when you figure that out, then it's like, oh, that's what this society's based on. You know what I mean? And you can start figuring out where it goes wrong, too. And usually religion is a huge part of why it's going wrong. But, I mean, that's my opinion. I mean, I believe what I believe, and so that's what art is to me.
So with that, I think we will end this with, if you would like to drop some final words of wisdom on us.
Raise hell, but don't let hell raise you.
I like it.
And that's it.
Well, thank you for sitting down.
Yeah, and thank you for interviewing me. That's a trip.
It's super awesome.
Cool. Hopefully it was entertaining for you.
Oh, yes. Always.
But hopefully I did a good job.
Thanks to Terra Coffee on Yosemite Street here in Stockton for letting us hang out on their patio and having great coffee. Thanks, guys.
Running from the one that you made. Running from the one that casts shade. Yeah, he's burning bright all through the night. Yeah, he's burning love in my eyes, but out of my head. the one that casts shade. Yeah, he's burning bright all through the night. Yeah, he's burning love, and my eyes burn out of my running from the one that casts shade. Running from the one that puts you in your grave. Yeah, he's burning bright all through the night. Yeah, he's burning love, and my eyes burn out of my head. My eyes burn. My eyes burn. And my eyes burn out of my head. My eyes burn. My eyes burn. My eyes burn out of my head.
You're listening to Mudville Sounds.
Hello?